You don't need that, my son-in-law yelled when he saw my dream travel trailer. Tomorrow, my family and I are going on vacation, and we'll drop you off at a retirement home. I was shocked, but he didn't know I had a plan. When they hit the road, I sent him a message. Look in the glove compartment. What he saw there made him stop, and that was just the beginning. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. I signed my name across the bottom line, the pen steady in my hand. 35 years of selling insurance policies had taught me to read every clause, every condition, and this contract was clean. The Winnebago Vista sat 15 feet away in the Phoenix dealership lot, cream and bronze under the afternoon sun, windows gleaming like promises. $45,000 from my retirement account, money I'd saved one careful dollar at a time. The salesman shook my hand and dropped the keys into my palm. Congratulations, Mr. Bishop. She's all yours. I walked to the trailer alone, ran my fingers along the smooth fiberglass exterior. Inside, everything smelled new. I opened cabinet doors in the compact kitchen, tested the faucet, sat in the driver's seat, and gripped the wheel. The Grand Canyon first, I thought, then Yellowstone. Maybe Montana before the snow came. Places I'd circled on maps for years, while clients discussed their whole life policies and term conversions across my desk. Standing in the doorway, I pulled out my phone. Betty would want to know. I pressed call. Dad. Her voice came through flat, distracted. Betty, honey, I did it. I bought the trailer. A Winnebago Vista. Beautiful condition. I'm looking at it right now, and I can already picture the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, maybe even up to Montana. Silence stretched across the line. The kind that calculates. How much did you spend? Not congratulations. Just numbers. I felt something small deflate inside my chest. $45,000. It's a solid investment, and I've been saving for this since. $45,000. That's a lot of money. You could have spent it more wisely. She cut through my explanation like scissors through paper. I stood in the dealership parking lot, the keys growing warm in my fist. I thought you'd be happy for me. This is something I've wanted to do for years. I have to go. Zachary just got home. We'll talk later. The line went dead before I could respond. Call duration 2 minutes 38 seconds. That's all the time my dream deserved. The drive home took 40 minutes, and I spent every minute trying to understand what more wisely meant. By evening, I parked the trailer in my driveway beside the house. I made a sandwich, carried it to the trailer, spread maps across the small table. My finger traced highways, but my mind kept returning to Betty's voice. That coldness. That immediate focus on cost rather than joy. No follow-up call came. The maps lay flat and colorful, but I couldn't find enthusiasm anymore. One light in the kitchen, one in the trailer. An old man and his expensive mistake. I folded the maps carefully. I told myself tomorrow would be better. Tomorrow I'd start fresh. Morning coffee tasted bitter. 8:30 and the kitchen window framed my trailer in perfect Arizona sunlight. I rinsed my cup, set it in the dish rack, and that's when I heard the car. I moved to the living room window and watched a black Lexus pull against the curb. Zachary stepped out, slammed the door, and walked toward my house with the stride of a man on a mission. No phone call ahead. The front door opened. I hadn't locked it, and my son-in-law walked straight through my living room toward the kitchen. W.I. Not how are you. Not good morning. Just my name. Flat as a statement. The family talked it over. We need the trailer for a couple weeks. A 2-week vacation. We already made plans. I stood near the sink, still holding the dish towel, processing. The family talked it over. Last night, while I sat alone with my maps. What? Zachary, what are you talking about? I just bought this yesterday. He moved past me, scanning the counter. Found what he wanted. My key ring. Right where I'd left it, next to the coffee maker. The Winnebago key dangled on its branded fob. Yeah, Betty told me. $45,000. That's a lot for something you're not going to use much anyway. My hands tightened on the towel. Use much? I'd owned it less than 24 hours. Not going to use. I'm planning a trip across. At your age, he picked up the keys. examined them like he was inspecting produce. Come on, you don't need this. We can drop you at a senior facility on our way out if that helps. The words hit like a physical blow. Senior facility. As if I were luggage to be stored. As if $45,000 of my money, my savings, my life had been spent to provide his family a vacation vehicle. You can't just take my property. Those are my keys. But he was already moving toward the door, my keys in his fist. Young, confident, dismissive. We're family. We borrow things. That's how it works. We'll take good care of it. He pulled open the front door, paused on the threshold to deliver his final courtesy. Thanks for understanding. We leave in the morning. Then he was gone, down the walkway into the Lexus. I stood in my doorway, watching him drive away, my arms still extended. The Lexus turned the corner, disappeared. I walked back inside, closed the door, locked it this time. The family talked it over. Betty's coldness yesterday suddenly made perfect sense. She hadn't been disappointed in my purchase. She'd been calculating its value, measuring how they could use it. That comment, "You could have spent it more wisely." Betty had already decided the money should have gone somewhere else, probably to her. Moving on autopilot, I walked to my dresser and retrieved the spare key set. The dealership had given me two. Always have a backup, I'd learned in insurance. Always prepare for loss. Zachary thought he'd won. He thought the old man would shuffle back to his empty house and let them take his dream. 35 years in insurance taught me patience, how to spot liars, and that the person you underestimate is often the one who destroys you. I sat at my desk, the spare keys cold against my palm. I spread out my insurance policies, property deeds, investment statements, and my current will. Everything was left to Betty. I began calculating the risk, not of liability, but of my daughter and her husband believing they could humiliate me without consequence. The bedside clock ticked past 6 a.m. The family talked it over. Betty's coldness, Zachary's confidence, the mention of a senior facility. It was rehearsed, coordinated. At 7:30 a.m., I picked up my phone and called Margaret Sullivan, attorney at law. "Miss Sullivan, this is W.Y. Bishop. I need to see you today about changing my will. It's urgent. I'll pay double your hourly rate. This can't wait." I arrived at Margaret Sullivan's office at 2 p.m., dressed in the gray suit I'd worn to client meetings for 3 decades. I was clinical and factual. "Your current will leaves everything to your daughter, Betty. You want to change this too. The Veterans Assistance Fund of Arizona, primary beneficiary. Betty receives $1. I want that specified. Exactly $1. Mr. Bishop, this is a significant change. Are you certain?" I've never been more certain of anything. I stood. Family showed me who they really are. I'm just responding appropriately. 3 hours later, I signed the new document with a steady hand. The 2 paralegals witnessed it. I took all 3 copies, the originals for my records. I drove home with the folder on the passenger seat. The trailer was exactly where I'd left it. I used the spare keys to unlock the door. I walked to the front, opened the glove compartment, and placed 1 copy of the new will inside, right on top, where anyone looking for registration or insurance papers would find it immediately. "Let's see how that vacation goes," I said to the empty space. I locked the trailer and returned to my house. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table. They'd be here any hour now. At 8:15 a.m., the black Lexus arrived, followed by a silver SUV. Zachary, Betty, and my 2 grandchildren, Emma, 10, and Lucas, 7, climbed out. They began loading the trailer, suitcases, coolers, chairs, and a raft. Nobody knocked on my door. Nobody glanced at my window. I was invisible. Zachary used the keys he'd stolen yesterday to unlock the trailer. After loading supplies, he turned toward my house, cupped his hands, and called out, "Thanks for the trailer, W.I. We'll take real good care of it. Might even send you some postcards." Betty touched his arm. "Zachary, just let's go." He laughed. "What? He can't hear us anyway. Probably sulking inside." He crouched between my grandchildren, expansive and generous. "We'll see everything, kids." I watched them pull out of my driveway at 8:27 a.m. Zachary was driving, Betty beside him, the children in the back. I calculated their location, 2 hours would put them past Casa Grande, approaching Gila Bend. Far enough that turning back would be a decision, not a quick fix. At 10:27 a.m., I picked up my phone and opened a new message to Zachary. Check the glove compartment. I pressed send. The phone immediately lit up. Zachary calling. I let it ring. Voicemail. Another call. Another voicemail. The screen didn't go dark. Then Betty started calling. I let it all ring through. By 10:45 a.m., I had 63 missed calls from Zachary and 28 from Betty. I listened to the start of the voicemails. Zachary. WI. What's in the glove compartment? Call me back. Deleted. Zachary later. What the hell is this? You can't do this. This is call me right now. Delete. Betty, voice breaking. Dad, please. Please call us. We need to talk about this. Please. I typed a final message. This is only the beginning. I placed the phone face down. I imagined the scene. Zachary pulling over on the interstate shoulder. Betty reading the new will. Her face going white. I walked to my office, pulled out the folder I had prepared. The second copy of the new will, the original signed title, purchase receipts, and all ownership documentation. I had made one more call that morning, to the Scottsdale Police Department non-emergency line. I filed a preliminary report on the unauthorized taking of my property and scheduled an appointment with Officer Martinez for the following morning. The next morning, I dressed in my gray suit. At the Scottsdale Police Department, Officer James Norton, initially skeptical about a family dispute, saw the evidence I presented. Purchase receipt, $$/$45, 000 Winnebago Vista. Title, W.Y. Bishop. Sole owner. Registration and insurance, all in my name. Norton's skepticism vanished. He spent 20 minutes meticulously documenting the case. Mr. Bishop, based on the documentation you've provided, this qualifies as unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. Given the value, it's a felony offense. I'll enter this into the system immediately. Highway Patrol will locate the vehicle and make contact with the operator. What happens then? They'll inform him of the theft report and give him options. Return the vehicle to you immediately or face arrest for grand theft auto. At noon, my phone rang. Officer Norton. Mr. Bishop, Highway Patrol located your vehicle approximately 70 miles west of Phoenix. Officers made contact with the operator. He's been informed of the theft report and is returning the vehicle to your address. Was there any trouble? Some initial resistance. Claims it's a family misunderstanding. The return was complete. Zachary and Betty's arrogance, entitlement, and theft had been met with cold, methodical legal action, forcing them to abandon their stolen vacation immediately or face felony charges. The empty space in my driveway would not be empty for long. I stood on my porch as the Winnebago Vista and Zachary's Lexus pulled into my driveway at 2 p.m. Zachary slammed the trailer door, his face red with a mixture of sun and rage. Betty was blotchy. Tears dried on her face. The children remained in the Lexus. I made them come to me. Zachary stormed across the driveway. You humiliated us. Police stopped us on the highway, like criminals in front of my kids. What kind of sick old man does this to his own family? I kept my voice level. The kind whose property was stolen. You took my vehicle without permission. That's theft. The police agreed. He shifted, the direct threat coming next. You think you're clever. Changing your will like some kind of revenge? We'll fight it. We'll have you declared incompetent. Clearly, you're suffering from dementia. If you think this is acceptable behavior. Betty played the guilt card. Dad, please. The kids are terrified. They don't understand why their vacation was ruined. To us or to you, Betty? I looked directly at her. I treated you like family. I told you about my dream. He came and took it from me. So yes, Betty, this is how I treat people who do that. Zachary dropped his voice, hardening. This isn't over. You'll hear from our attorney. We're filing papers tomorrow. You're clearly not mentally competent to manage your affairs. I held out my hand, palm up. The keys. He finally conceded, his rage defeated by consequence. He pulled the key ring from his pocket and dropped it into my hand. The metal was warm. I closed my fingers around it, returned to my house, and locked the door. The trailer was back, but now it represented a battle won, not a dream. At 9:30 the next morning, a courier delivered the official legal envelope, a petition for a determination of incapacity. The filing was aggressive and immediate. Grounds cited: lack of mental competence to manage financial affairs, recent erratic behavior, including estrangement from family, making impulsive purchases, the trailer, and initiating criminal proceedings, the theft report. I called Margaret Sullivan immediately. "Miss Sullivan, it's W.I. Bishop. I need to see you today." They filed an incompetency petition. Preparing the defense. I spent the morning gathering my life's evidence. Bank statements showing consistent, careful financial management. Investment portfolios balanced and appropriate for my age. Tax returns and career performance reviews. Medical records from 2 months ago showing excellent cognitive function. The legal assessment. At 2 p.m., Margaret Sullivan read the petition. "This is aggressive, retaliatory." "Can they win?" I asked. "Legally, they'll lose. They have to prove you lack capacity. Given your documentation, medical records, and the obvious retaliatory nature of this filing, they'll lose. Practically, it will be expensive, time-consuming, and emotionally exhausting, which might be the point. They're trying to punish you for not letting them have what they wanted." How do we respond? We file a counter motion. We present your medical records, financial history, and character witnesses. We argue this is a frivolous petition filed in bad faith. Margaret said. She leaned forward. We go on offense. We file a restraining order preventing them from entering your property or contacting you. We document their harassment. We make this more expensive for them than it is for you. Do it. I responded. I slid my 3 prepared folders across her desk. Margaret smiled. You're making my job very easy, Mr. Bishop. This is building a case for why they shouldn't have access to your assets ever. She was clear about the cost. You're also severing your relationship with your daughter permanently. There's no walking that back. I thought about Betty's calculated betrayal. File everything. The hearing was set for 3 weeks out. Margaret predicted they would try to settle before then. They'll offer to drop the petition if you restore them to your will. Tell them no. Over the next 2 weeks, I lived a normal, competent life. Betty called 4 times, cycling through anger, pleading, desperation, and silence. I saved every voicemail, documentation. Then Zachary sent an email titled, Final Offer. We'll drop the incompetency petition and leave you alone. In exchange, you restore us to your will and sign over the trailer title. Otherwise, we're going to court, and we'll drag this out for years. Your choice. I forwarded it to Margaret. Her reply. Perfect. He just documented his extortion attempt in writing. Save this. The psychiatric evaluation. Dr. Patricia Chen, the court-appointed psychiatrist, conducted a rigorous 90-minute evaluation. I answered honestly, relying on facts. Dr. Chen closed her notepad. Nothing in your behavior suggests cognitive impairment or inability to manage your affairs. What you're experiencing is a family conflict, not a competency issue. Margaret called Friday evening. Dr. Chen's report was excellent for us, recommending immediate dismissal. Whitman's firm offered to drop the petition if I dropped the restraining order and considered restoring the will. No. Monday morning, I met Margaret at the courthouse. The opposing attorney looked young and uncomfortable. Whitman had withdrawn. The hearing lasted 40 minutes before Judge Catherine Rodas. Margaret presented Dr. Chen's report, my records, and character statements. The opposing attorney argued the will change proved impaired judgment. Judge Rodas cut him off. Counselor, changing one's will is not evidence of incompetence. It's evidence of autonomy. Do you have any medical evidence of cognitive impairment? Your Honor, the defendant's recent behavior. Recent behavior that includes proper documentation, legal consultation, and appropriate use of law enforcement when his property was stolen. That's not impairment. That's good judgment. Petition denied. The gavel fell once. It was over. On the courthouse steps, Margaret summarized the outcome. The incompetency petition was denied. My competence is established. The restraining order stands. They cannot contact me. The will change is protected. You want everything. I didn't want to win this. I wanted not to need to. I drove home. The trailer sat in the driveway. I hadn't been inside for 3 weeks. I unlocked it, letting the August air in. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You destroyed your family for money. Hope it was worth it. I deleted and blocked it. Then, I sat at the small trailer table and pulled out the maps I'd folded 3 weeks ago, ready to finally claim the dream they had tried to steal. I traced the routes with my finger. Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, Montana. But the excitement was gone. The anticipation was gone. What remained was just colored paper and highway lines. Tomorrow I'd call the dealership, see what they'd offer for a 3-week-old trailer with 800 miles on it. Someone else could chase those dreams. Mine had been taken the moment Zachary walked through my door. I realized the court had given me justice, but justice wasn't the same as restoration. The next morning, I called Margaret Sullivan. She confirmed they needed to be proactive against the incompetency petition. I immediately scheduled appointments with Dr. Patricia Rise, general practitioner, and Dr. Robert Chen, neurological specialist. Medical evidence. Dr. Rise conducted cognitive tests, recall, counting backward by sevens, drawing a clock. Conclusion. Your cognitive function is excellent, better than average for your age group. Dr. Chen, neurological, conducted technical tests, reflexes, coordination, spatial reasoning. Conclusion. Your reaction time and processing speed are impressive. Both doctors provided detailed written reports. No evidence of dementia, cognitive impairment, or diminished capacity. I delivered the sealed reports to Margaret. She confirmed. Their incompetency petition just became much harder to defend. Margaret then brought up an old document, a revocable gift deed for my house, executed 3 years ago after my wife passed, leaving the house to Betty. Betty was unaware the deed even existed. She believed the house was still mine. Arizona law allows revocation if the recipient shows gross ingratitude to the donor, Margaret explained. Given what's happened, taking your property, filing for incompetency, the nursing home comment, I believe we have grounds. I realized revoking the deed would be educational for Betty. The protection I created out of love could now be legally and justifiably taken back. Margaret asked who was the beneficiary on my $250,000 in life insurance policies and retirement accounts. Betty, I replied. I told Margaret to file everything. Margaret began drafting the revocation of gift deed, documenting 4 specific instances of gross ingratitude. Unauthorized removal of property, the $$45,000 trailer. Involvement of law enforcement causing public humiliation. The nursing home comment, on record in my own house. Filing a frivolous incompetency petition, despite documented medical evidence. This is airtight, WY. Any judge would uphold the revocation. She printed the devastating document, citing Arizona revised statutes and detailing every instance. I would send this via certified mail. She then pulled out 3 life insurance beneficiary change documents. Total death benefit of $$$250,000. These 3 policies, total death benefit is $250,000. Margaret confirmed. We're changing that to the Veterans Assistance Fund. Same as your will. I signed the 3 beneficiary change forms, making each signature feel final, permanent. Betty would receive notification from each insurance company, knowing exactly what she had lost. Margaret paused before sealing the gift deed revocation. WY, I need to ask, are you certain about this? Once we send these letters, there's no easy path back. Your relationship with your daughter. My relationship with my daughter ended when she stood by while her husband stole from me. These documents just make it official. The certified mail went out Tuesday afternoon. By Thursday morning, panic had set in. Margaret and I listened to their desperation over speakerphone. Zachary, furious, threatening. You think you can take back the house? We'll tie you up in court for years. You'll be dead before this is settled, and we're not backing down on the incompetency hearing. Margaret saved this. threatening language toward elderly family member. This helps our case. Betty, pleading, sobbing. Dad, please. I need to talk to you. Just me, not Zachary. Please, I'm coming over tomorrow morning. Please be home. I left Margaret's office, the relentless September heat matching my resolve. I had no intention of backing down, but curiosity won. I'd be home tomorrow. The next morning, Betty arrived alone. I opened the door. I sat in a chair across from her. Distance mattered. She blamed Zachary. Zachary pushed for everything. The trailer was his idea. Filing the incompetency petition was his idea. I just went along because he's my husband, and I didn't know how to stop it. Then what did you want, Betty? She looked down, twisting her wedding ring. I'm sorry. For all of it, for not standing up to him, for letting things get this far. I leaned forward, delivering the question that had defined the past 3 weeks. You were there. Why didn't you defend me? After a long, painful silence, she whispered, I don't know. I should have. I'm sorry. You do know you chose him over me. You're just not willing to say it out loud. She tried to leverage her position as his wife. I love you, Dad. I do. But he's my husband. I have to live with him. You have to choose. That's what you're saying. You chose him. Then you're choosing him now. I stood and offered the single condition for reversing my actions. I'll stop everything. The gift deed revocation, the insurance changes, all of it. One condition, file for divorce. Remove Zachary from your life. Choose your father over your husband. The way you chose your husband over your father. Her expression instantly shifted from desperation to anger. You can't ask me to do that. That's manipulation. That's blackmail. No, Betty. Blackmail is threatening someone to get something you're not entitled to. I'm entitled to respect from my daughter. I'm offering you a choice. The same choice you gave me when you stood silent while he stole from me. She stood defeated. This is cruel. You've become cruel. I've become fair. There's a difference. She left, pausing only to deliver her final shot. You're going to die alone and bitter. W.Y. had won. But standing there, after Betty left, he didn't feel satisfaction or vindication. He felt tired, old. Zachary's final, furious voicemail, threatening to drag him through every court and expose him as a vindictive old man, was immediately forwarded to Margaret. More evidence, I noted. Margaret's next question was the pivot point. Are you ready to move forward with a house sale? I looked around the living room, at the ghosts of family memories, and typed, yes, listed immediately. I'm ready to move on. I found the listing I'd circled, a 2-bedroom house in Sedona with mountain views, far from Phoenix. On Monday, Margaret and I finalized the gift deed revocation. This is at W.Y. Once I file this with the county recorder, the gift deed is officially revoked. The house is yours alone. Are you ready? I've been ready since the moment I understood what was happening. I signed the document. The house that was gifted in love was now reclaimed through betrayal. The house sold quickly. A cash offer of $392,000 was accepted within a week. I used part of the proceeds to buy the Sedona house cash, securing a mountain view and a fresh start. Meanwhile, Margaret called with an update on the legal front. The incompetency hearing has been dismissed. The judge reviewed your medical evaluations and found no grounds. The battle was legally over. I spent the final week packing the trailer. My Winnebago Vista, the source of all the trouble, was now ready for its intended purpose. The morning I left, I drove north, not south. I pulled into a scenic overlook at the Grand Canyon. I stood by my trailer and took one photograph. Me and the Winnebago Vista with the Grand Canyon in the background. I typed a caption. Turns out I did need this after all. I sent the photo to Betty. Then I put my phone on airplane mode and climbed back into the trailer. I didn't wait for a response. It didn't matter anymore. The highway stretched ahead. Margaret's final email echoed in my mind. All proceedings closed. Incompetency case dismissed. Gift deed revocation recorded. You're free and clear. I drove west, then north, following the map. The retirement I had planned, the journey I had earned, was finally happening. On my terms, in my trailer, alone, but not lonely. I followed the road, free to choose my own direction, finally living the life I'd fought to reclaim.